Good morning. I'm Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, and on behalf of the men and women of our Harford County Sheriff's Office, our Sheriff's Office family, I would like to thank you for being here with us. Thank you, Governor, Mr. Glassman, Pat, for your kind remarks and standing with us through this tragedy. To Pat's mother, Joan, his brothers, Michael, sisters, Linda and Kathleen, to Brian and Tyler, the strongest young men I've ever met, to Amy, his girlfriend, to Robin, and all the members of the family, I offer you our most sincere condolences on behalf of the men and women of the Harford County Sheriff's Office. To be sure, we are heartbroken. However, our agency is not, cannot, and will not be broken. The men and women of this office, heroes, every single one, continue and have continued since last Wednesday to provide the vital public safety services to our Harford County community. They do so with heavy hearts and tearful eyes, but they do so with unmatched strength, willpower, and with courage, and with honor, and with integrity. I'm proud of this agency, and I'm honored to know them, each and every one. You have all amazed me with your endurance, your persistence, and have touched me with your love and support for one another. Law enforcement, as we all know, it's a unique endeavor. Some would say it is a profession, while most would say it's a calling. I certainly believe it is a calling. I think Pat would believe 100% it is a calling. I would argue that there are few undertakings so noble as the protection of one's community. It is defined by service that attracts those who truly believe they can make a difference. There are those who question why anyone would ever want to get into the field of law enforcement. For those of us involved, we could not imagine ever doing anything else. There are so many who enter the field of law enforcement and serve with distinction. However, there are others, a select few, who soar above the rest. This is the realm in which Senior Deputy Pat Daly and Senior Deputy Mark Logston operated each and every day. Many outside this calling have asked why these men responded the way they did. Those of us in law enforcement and public safety who fill this room today, and those who are not here but still sharing in the pain of our loss, already know that answer. And the answer is simple. Police officers every single day are the ones to run towards danger, towards unimaginable situations, and are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to keep our community safe. To share this in a manner better than I could ever craft or do justice, I would like to share a writing from retired Police Lieutenant John Morrison of the San Diego Police Department called Walking the Point. Walking the point. There are some things that you just can't do without suffering casualties. Very literally and profoundly, our job is one of them. You can't race cars without crashes. You can't dig mines without cave-ins. And you sure can't send cops out into the street without violent deaths. Our fallen brothers knew that and did it anyway, as we all do or have done. Their friends will tell you they did the job because they loved it, and any of us who can't say that should envy them for it. At least they died as rare, precious people, doing what they love to do, and doing it for the noblest of reasons. That is something we can never explain outside our profession. You see, you can't be a good cop simply because you couldn't get another job. You can only be a good cop because you want it. And there's an answer as to why they died. Something learned half a world away, many years ago, by a young Marine preparing to face an enemy in combat for the first time. It was then that my sergeant explained that, like it or not, there are only 3 rules in war. Rule number 1 is men die. Rule number 2 is that you cannot change rule number 1. Rule number 3 is somebody has to walk the point. You see, when soldiers advance, knowing the enemy is near, there is always one man way out in front of everyone else. His duty is to look and listen and sense that first contact, to spot the enemy, pinpoint the ambush, fire that first shot, and as a consequence, take those first shots. It offends the logical mind and denies the instinct of survival. It ages and saddens and wisens and frequently kills those who take their turn walking the point. But it must be done, or there would be no protection for the rest. Just more bloodshed and more grief. For the point man is there to save lives, even if he gives his own in the process. Society may not be a company of soldiers, but it certainly has and needs somebody walking the point. Every time you go out the precinct door, every time you answer a radio call, every time you stop to check out something suspicious, and you cannot change rule number 1. If I could say something directly to the people in our society, it would be this. I know some of you will remember our brothers, but that's not good enough. I want you to honor them for what they did for you, that which they needn't have done. I'm not just talking about what they did on that day of the routine call or the stop that went horribly bad. I mean what they did for you day after day, in darkness and light, rain or shine, on holidays, on loved ones' birthdays, without ever expecting even a thank you in return. As I reflected on these words by Lieutenant Morrison, it was abundantly clear that Pat volunteered to walk the point for us, as he had done so many times before. Pat was a former United States Marine, as you all know, a veteran police officer, a former member of our SRT, our SWAT team. Pat trained seriously in every aspect of officer safety. You would not find him on duty without his vest. He covered all the bases. Yet here we are today, mourning the loss of a loyal friend and a vigilant servant. I don't know, and most likely will never know, what plans that this violent criminal ultimately had in mind. In walking the point last week, I have no doubt that other lives, if not for Pat and if not for Mark, would have been lost. There is no doubt that in our loss, other lives were saved. On a more personal note, and Sarge touched it, and Pat and I go way back, 30 years back. I was a young trooper assigned here in Harford County, and Pat had just come out of the Sheriff's Office Academy. And as I moved around the state, Pat was one of many, but one of the constants that would stop and see us routinely at the barrack. And to the family, over the couple of days of visitation in here today, I hear Pat stopped in a lot of places and apparently spent a lot of time, but he did get his job done. Well, we would run calls together back in the day, and then as I finally came back as a captain, a troop commander assigned, and where the state police troopers would hesitantly go by the captain's door, Pat would stop in, grab the chair, bring it up to the desk, and chat. And it'd be about many things. He did know I had aspirations of one day joining this office. He would explain to me the things, Sarge, that needed to be done, including the need for us to institute a sergeant major's rank, and he also had a candidate in mind for that. It just happened to be him. I'd also run into Pat routinely. One of my vices is coffee. I would many weekends be out at the Starbucks in Bel Air, which is attached to the Barnes & Noble, and I would see Pat there with Brian and Tyler. And I know Pat was busy looking at the World War II, the Revolutionary War, and the Civil War material, and I didn't know if Brian and Tyler were as interested or whether they were along for the ride, but they were always there together. And absolutely, to be sure, if you had to say what Pat was most proud of, it would be his boys. He told stories about them, talked about them often, and served at the fire company with them. There's no doubt that Pat loved his whole family, but his sons with all his heart. To truly provide a picture of the kind of man that Pat Daly was in his final acts on this earth, his final acts were to respond to a call he was not assigned, to treat kindly a man he did not know, and to give his life for the community he loved. One other thing real quick is, as you know, Pat was a member of the Honor Guard, as was Mark. And the Honor Guard had developed a new patch they want us to consider putting on the Honor Guard uniform. And routinely, Sybil would be arriving about the same time I arrived at the office. And I don't think there was a time I saw Pat out by the gas pumps, out by the back door, that he didn't want an update on where we were with approving those patches. In our 242-year history of the Harford County Sheriff's Office, many men and women have worn this uniform. Most of those names have been lost to history. However, there are names that have not and will not ever be forgotten. Their names are Frank Bateman, William Beebe, Teresa Testerman, Charlie Liccato, Ian Loughran, Mark Logston, and Pat Daly. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our fallen heroes. And how do I know they'll be remembered? When Pat's car was brought back, my major sent me a picture of the back window. And on the back window of Pat's car were 5 thin blue line stickers, one for each of the previously fallen heroes of our office. As Pat remembered and respected our loss, we will never forget to be just as vigilant. In closing, I would like to recognize the overwhelming support shown to our office, the outpouring of love for Pat and Mark, for their families, for our Sheriff's Office family, has been indescribable and overwhelming. To our beloved Harford County community, words cannot thank you enough for the letters, the cards, the calls, the flowers, the balloons, the donations, and every other tribute to our fallen that has shown just how much love and admiration this county holds for the men and women of our great agency. This indeed gives meaning behind the words that have grown from our loss. We are Harford strong. God bless every law enforcement officer for the job that it sometimes seems so unappreciated, the job that you do every single day. God bless Pat and Mark and their families, and God bless each and every one of you.